There's a playtest for a Warlock class! Hey folks, 3 things about me. First, I love tieflings and orcs and the combination of the two. My favorite monster is mind flayers and anything related to them, and I love warlocks. They're the best class in D&D. I defend these motherfuckers with my life. So how come I didn't know there was a warlock being made for Daggerheart? I'm just now reading version 1.3 and 1.4, but let's take a look at them and the D&D 5e warlock. But before we do that, let's go to introductions. Hey folks, my name is VJ Harris. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and something funny. I'm a full-time tabletop role-playing designer and professional game master. You might recognize my name from things such as MCDM Productions, Arcadia, Flea Mortals, or An Elf and Orc Cat Little Baby, volumes 1 through 4. Okay, introduction done. Let's get back to it. I do really wish that I had been aware of the version 1 and 1.2 so I can compare them to 1.3 and 1.4, but alas, I was not. So we'll stick to what we can compare and talk about. I'm going to go over all of the changes and then talk about them. I went page by page to find changes between the 1.3 and the 1.4 version of the Warlock. In the 1.3, the Warlock had 5 HP, and in the 1.4, it now has 6. The stress remained the same. Patron's Protection. On a successful attack against you, you can spend 3 hope. If you do, the GM must spend a fear to make the attack hit or it misses. Was changed to Patron's Boon. Spend 3 hope to call out to your patron for help, gaining 1d4 favor. The text from the Warlock Patron 1.3. You have a patron to whom you have committed yourself in exchange for power. Create a name for your patron and write it above. Then add 2 boons that represent your patron's sphere of influence and set their values to +3. Anytime you increase your tier, these boons gain a permanent +1 bonus. Was changed to, you have committed yourself to a patron, god, demon, fae, or other supernatural entity in exchange for power. Write their name above, then choose their spheres of influence at GM discretion. Nature and mischief, love and war, knowledge and shadow, etc. Record them above and set their value to +2. Anytime you increase your tier, these spheres of influence also gain a permanent +1 bonus. Before making an action roll that relates to one of your patron's spheres of influence, you can spend a favor to call on them and add its value to the roll. 1.3 flavor. Start with 2 flavor. During a long rest, pay one of your downtown actions as a tithe to your patron. When you do, gain 1d4 favor from them. If you choose to forego this offering, the GM instead gains a fear. Was changed to start with 3 favor. During a rest, take one of your downtown actions to tithe to your patron. When you do, gain favor equal to your presence. If you choose to forego this offering, the GM instead gains a fear. Under the Pact of the Endless Foundation. Avoid death. Before you roll Risk It All on a death move, you can spend favor to add the value of one of your boons to your hope die. Was changed to Deadly Devotion. After you make a successful attack, you can spend a favor to give your evasion a +1 bonus until the next time an attack succeeds against you. Otherwise, this bonus lasts until your next rest. Avoid death does not reappear in the Pact of the Endless. Okay, there's a couple of things going on with Pact of the Wrathful. First, Herald of Death, which is under the Foundation version, was moved to the Specialization section. Patron's Wrath was moved from the Mastery section and put under the Foundation section. Fearsome Attack was moved to Mastery from Specialization. Energy Drain was completely removed and Diminished Foe was added. The 1.3 version of Herald of Death. On a failed attack roll, you can spend a favor to reroll the attack. If it fails again, you must mark a stress. Was changed to, on a failed attack roll, you can spend a favor to reroll the attack. If it fails again, you must mark a stress and take the new roll. 1.3 version of Patron's Wrath. Once per long rest, when you take damage, you can spend favor for each target within close range. For each you spend a favor for, they must mark a hit point. Was changed to spend any number of favor to imbue your primary weapon with your patron's power. When rolling damage, you choose to add an additional 1d6 to all damage rolls you make with it per favor spent until your next rest. Anytime you choose to deal this additional damage, mark a stress. 1.3 version of Fearsome Attack. When you make a successful attack roll with fear, you can spend a favor to reroll any number of your damage die. You can continue spending favor to reroll these dice as many times as you'd like. Wasn't changed in any text, just moved to Mastery instead. The 1.3 version of Divine Ire. You can spend favor to imbue your primary weapon with Patron's power. When you do, add an additional d6 to all damage rolls you make with it per favor spent until your next rest. Was changed to once per rest. When you take damage, you can spend favor for each target within close range. For each you spend a favor for, they must mark a hit point. The Grave Domain cards haven't changed at all. Okay, let's talk about the differences. Now, mind you folks, I have not been a part of any playtesting for this, and while I do design classes and subclasses, I have not done that for this system, so take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm actually not really happy with the change between Avoid Death and Deadly Devotion. I think being able to increase your chances of not succumbing to death when you make your Risk It All move versus getting a boost to evasion kind of fits more with the Endless Patron. So, my only complaint about Herald of Death is that upon being moved from Foundation to Specialization, it now has an added debuff, in my opinion, where you have to take the new role. I think leaving it as you can roll again and also mark a stress was enough, especially because it's now a specialization ability. The Patron's Wrath change is really good because the Pact of the Wrathful feels like it's trying to be the Spellblade Pact, and having it deal with weapons is really great for that. Final thoughts on the two packs. I would like for the Pack of the Endless to have some more things that empower spellcasting, because it's kind of feels like I said, the Pact of the Wrathful is someone engaging as a Spellblade, and the Pact of the Endless should be the spellcaster, but that doesn't make what's going on right now bad. They're both solid packs. I'd be excited to play either one of them. Okay, now it's time to talk about the D&D Warlock and the Daggerheart Warlock comparison. First, I've got to share this quote from a friend of mine about the Warlock, my favorite class. An ineffective caster and ineffective melee class. Instead of picking one to focus on to make it engaging to play and effective, they just phone it in and do neither well. It's the only spellcasting class that is limited. Even other spellcasting subclasses are able to do more than a warlock can. Because you don't have the effective melee class, you don't have much to fall back on either than cantrips. Yes, it can be very effective. Yes, Eldritch Blast can be really powerful, but it's not very engaging. For example, you make a subclass for a different class. I have a barbarian that has a subclass as a half caster, homebrew. There are a lot more spell slots. You can't get up to as high of a level casting, but it's still more spell slots. I don't think they are well designed. They are just not effective in anything. They are also very interesting. They have so much potential, but when it comes to actual gameplay and functionality, they just really drop the ball. I know it's possible to make an effective warlock, but I also think you shouldn't have to try and fucking twist around and loophole and figure out a perfect special build to make a class work. As much as I am loath to admit this, because again, it's my favorite fucking class, everything Samar said is correct. And yeah, I can make the class work, but people shouldn't have to make it work to work. But with those things in mind, let's get into this. Right off the bat, the Daggerheart Warlock has the capability to cast more spells than the D&D Warlock. Okay, so subclasses. I'm going to compare the Hexblade to the Pact of the Wrathful. So the Pact of the Wrathful doesn't allow you to spawn a weapon, but you do get a weapon from the Warlock. So that's fine in that regard, even though you could lose that weapon, whereas you can't with the Hexblade. Unfortunately, though, I think that's the only place where you can actually make an ability comparison. Hex Warrior, Accursed Spectre, Armor of Hexes, and Master of Hexes don't have a single touchstone with anything else in the subclass. But now to address the critiques Samar had and go over them again. Ineffective melee and spellcaster class. Not engaging. I can confidently say that picking Pact of the Wrathful would make it an effective Spellblade, plus combined with some of the spells. And while it already can cast more spells than the 5e Warlock, making it effective, I'm still on the train that I really wanted the Pact of the Endless to be more spellcasting focused. But that's all for now, folks. I'll be back with this when we get more versions of the class. Catch you later.